Hey everyone, I'm going to be summarizing the article about peak programming and the relational training system by Belial. The study does talk about how peak can be used to improve language and cognitive skills in children with developmental disabilities. The researchers conducted the study in a special education classroom for a period of 3 months, which is pretty cool because to see the progress that you can make in 3 months is amazing. Using the Peak Comprehensive Assessment, or the PCA, they measured the progress over that time. So the Peak Relational Training System is closely tied to the relational frame theory because it builds on the foundational principles of relational frame theory to teach language and cognitive skills. Relational frame theory is a psychological theory that explains how humans learn language and cognition by forming relationships between words, concepts, stimuli, known as these relational frames. Peak programming is actually something that my own BCBA has had me start doing the assessments for. And she was explaining to me about how important it is for verbal behavior, which is one of the reasons why I did choose this article at this time. The purpose of this particular study was to evaluate the effectiveness of the peak in teaching the language and cognition and cognitive skills. Researchers worked with 5 participants, and they assessed their skills before and after by giving them a pre and a post test. To ensure that language was truly being learned, they not only tracked the participants' progress, but they also asked parents and staff for feedback on how the children were using it in and out of school. This additional input helped them confirm that the improvements weren't just limited to the classroom, but were being generalized to real-life situations. To improve upon their findings, they repeated the study again after a couple of months, and they found that the participants did show significant improvement in their language skills over that time and that the skills were generalizing. The specific results of the study was the participants mastered just over 11 target programs across the peak modules, and it led to an average of 186-ish, a little bit higher, new verbal behaviors, which is amazing. The pre and post test results showed that the average increase of 39 correct responses is ultimately what had happened. Parents and staff also reported noticeable improvements in the children's language use, which did reinforce the actual study's findings. So I found the study interesting because it does explain to you how you're making a real life difference compared to some other ones. We see improvements with other programs as well, but Peak in particular, you see that it's generalizing, you see that they're actually learning the things, and you're seeing them use it in real life, which is amazing. And the fact that it happened in only 3 months is absolutely amazing. The parents and the teachers noticed the difference that it was making. So as somebody who does work with children with developmental disabilities, we do use Peak programming in my company. So I do plan on in the future continuing to use peak programming so that I can see my own improvements in my own kids. But since peak uses relational frame theory principles to teach children how to form real life connections, relational connections, my view of using the peak programming has been reinforced. Peak programmings involve teaching relational responding, which is a core concept in relational frame theory. So you can learn something that's same, different, opposite without teaching every single possible example of it. By applying the relational frame concepts, Peak does provide a structured way to enhance verbal behavior and cognition, which also demonstrates how relational frame theory can be translated into practical interventions with children with developmental disabilities. So I think by using Peak, we can create more individualized programming that is not that one-size-fits-all that we do happen to see often. And if you say that's not true, go ahead and look at your kids' programming. I can guarantee you people have very similar, if not the same, programs. So, the combination of the pre- and post-testing along with the parents and staff feedback provides strong evidence that peak programming does work, which is why I'm going to eventually use it in mine, and I hope that this helped you, and I hope it gave you a better understanding of how the peak programming relates to relational frame theory.